Regardless of whether you find yourself with a lot of free time at the moment or whether you feel like you're wound up like a top ready to explode, this is the episode for you because we are talking about spring cleaning or autumn cleaning your business. I've got 8 tips to get you motivated on how you can spring clean your business. Join me. It's going to be great. Hey, welcome to the Small Business Made Simple podcast, brought to you by socialmediaandmarketing.com.au. Being in business is never easy, but it can be simple, or at least simpler. Join me, your host Jen Donovan, every week where we focus on marketing, social media, and working towards simplifying your business. You with me? Let's do this.
Gonna dream it big, 'cause someone out there listening. Everyone's got a voice to give, and it's time I heard you whistling, 'cause there's no point at all, in dreaming small,
Hey there, my podcast family. Welcome to episode 67 of the Small Business Made Simple podcast. Thank you, as always, for lending me your ears today. I know you have lots of choices out there, and I sincerely appreciate every week you making me one of them. If you're a first-time listener, then super welcome to you. I'm so pleased that you've landed here. I'm the host, Jen Donovan, and it's my job via this podcast, by my social media, and actually everywhere else that I hang out to make your business life simpler. Because business can be lonely, it can be hard, it can be complicated, and it's hardly ever easy, but it definitely should be simple, or at least simpler. So, of course, that's my commitment to you here on the Small Business Made Simple podcast. Another way I can actually make your life a little bit simpler is through my like-minded business owners group on Facebook. You can head in there, you can share your wonderful wisdom that you have with the audience, but also get some answers to your questions about where you are in your business at the moment. The group, of course, is on Facebook. Like I said, you can head to the show notes at socialmediaandmarketing.com.au/67, or just head to Facebook and search like-minded business owners and join the group. I'd love to see you there as well. This episode is actually being done a little on the fly. It wasn't the planned episode I had, but I've had this particular conversation a few times this week. In fact, a lot of few times. And each person that I've had this conversation with has said something along the lines of, "Oh, wow, I hadn't actually thought about that," insert whatever they hadn't thought about. So I thought it's a really good lesson, firstly, in life and in business, that just because something comes to you naturally, or just because you have these thought processes that perhaps come a little easier, doesn't mean that others think like you. And secondly, it's always a good idea to listen to your clients and listen to your audience and create content that you know will help them. Hence, this episode about cleaning up your offices, maybe if you only have one office, but really just doing a spring clean of your business. So after saying that, I feel that I've set the bar a little high. So let me bring you down a little bit. My thoughts aren't groundbreaking. They're just born out of frustration and, if I'm honest, a lot of distraction, because doing this sort of stuff was a little bit easy for me, and I could leave the hard stuff for another day, because that has been where my mindset has been just probably in the last 2 or 3 weeks. If I can just get the easy done, that I feel like I'm filling up my days productively, and I haven't tackled the hard stuff. So I'm giving you the nudge that you might need to do maybe this easy stuff and then get into the hard stuff. So my tips for you today aren't because I think you have lots of free time at the moment. Most people are shut down, but for many of you, you're actually working harder than ever. So my tips are more to create clarity, fresh starts, and clean slates. It's not about saying that you have lots of free time and you should be doing this. It's more about the other thing that I just mentioned: clarity, fresh starts, and clean slates. My episode today as I said, is all about spring cleaning or autumn cleaning, or we could even say COVID-19 cleaning your business life. And if you're anything like me, this sort of thing has driven you insane for a long time, and it's been on the to-do list for even longer than you would care to admit. So here's your nudge to do a spring clean, autumn clean, or COVID-19 clean of your business. Now, I'm going to start my first one with Canva. So if you use Canva like I have for many, many years, this will make sense to you. If you're not a Canva user, well, first of all, head to Canva, www.canva.com, canva.com, and you can send me a million thank yous later, because it's like the pot of gold as far as social media goes on the internet. I absolutely love Canva. If I had $1 for every time I told someone how much I love Canva, I don't think that I would actually be recording this on a tropical island that I own, I swear. Anyway, so Canva. But if you have been in Canva for a long time, like I have, and imported a gazillion photos to use in there, but maybe only use those photos maybe once, maybe twice, and now you have to scroll and scroll and scroll to find the photo that you actually want to use, then perhaps it's time for a photo clean out. Get rid of all those photos that you will probably never use again, or only once in a blue moon, and perhaps make sure that the blue moon photos are actually stored on your hard drive before you actually delete them. But I think it'd be a really good opportunity for you to give yourself a Canva photo clean out. So to delete photos, all you have to do is go to uploads, where you would normally go to upload a photo in Canva. Hover over the photo you want to delete, and 3 dots will appear in the top right hand corner. Click that and then click delete, and ta-da, your life is less full already. So point number 2, I'm going to stick with Canva here, because there's also, if you've been a long time user, like I said, like I have, and you've created a gazillion, I love that word today, don't I? Sorry. If you've created lots and lots of resources, and you've got lots and lots of creative assets, Facebook posts and Instagram posts and presentation, and the list goes on and on and on, then did you know that you can actually create files in Canva? Yep, you can organize all your creative assets into files. So when you're looking for something, you can just go to that folder and then you can find it. No more scrolling half a day looking for something. And it's also a good time to perhaps delete all those posts, all those Facebook, Instagram type posts that you will never use again. Maybe your branding isn't right, or maybe like me, you've done it for other people and for other businesses. Well, I've deleted them all. I don't need them. I'll never use them again. And it's made things so much easier to find and so much less stressful when I head into Canva, because I can always envisage something. I know it should be there. So to not have to scroll through lots to find it is just like heaven to me. And to have files, even better. Now, I just paused the podcast just there. You don't know that I paused the podcast, but I did. And I headed into Canva because I had this thought. Hang on, can you do folders in the free version? And at the time of recording this podcast, I'm pretty sure that folders or the ability to create your own folders is only something in the paid version. So sorry if you're on the free version, but I would still highly recommend you go in there and start deleting all your creative assets that you will never use again and tidy it up that way. If you have the paid version, then I would recommend that you start folders and filing things away so that you can find them a lot easier. All right, number 3, the infamous inbox. Today is the day you need to tackle your inbox. It's time to firstly unsubscribe from all those emails you really, seriously never read. Perhaps once upon a time, they were relevant for you, but maybe you've pivoted, maybe their business has pivoted, and now you've moved on and they're no longer serving you with great content that you can either relate to or learn from them. So I hope that's not mine. Don't unsubscribe from me. Am I allowed to say that in my own podcast? God, I am. All right. So here's what I suggest you actually do. Instead of having your emails in your inbox in date order, so the date order that actually come in, put them into from order and then go through them person by person or business by business and ask yourself, keep or unsubscribe and delete. Now, I've done all these tips in the last week, and I can tell you that my inbox tidy up took over 2 hours. 2 whole hours. And depending on how full your inbox is, will determine how long it will take you. But it was so worth it. And I'll tell you why, because I learned some really valuable lessons from doing this exercise. First thing I learned, because my business is about 3 years old, and in deleting and unsubscribing from things, I definitely saw that loads of people have either pivoted their businesses since I first subscribed to them, some good, some not so good. And as far as keeping them on my list, that's totally okay. They were for me once, they're not for me now. I'm sure that is the same with my business for some people. And some were not so good because lots of businesses that I actually deleted had very consistent emails until they didn't. Lots and lots of businesses have gone out of business or they've stopped using email strategically, which I think is a really big mistake. But it was a really interesting thing to see happening in my inbox, which I had never realized before. And the second thing I learned is this is a fabulous excuse to reach out to people that you haven't communicated with for ages. When I was cleaning out my inbox, I actually came across maybe about 50 people that I hadn't personally contacted. Yes, they're probably on my list and they hear from me a lot, but I haven't personally sent them an inbox email for a while. Maybe we had a chat about something a little while ago. Maybe they had a question. I answered their question, and then their email just kind of slipped down and down and down to when it wasn't in my vision anymore. So between cleaning out my inbox and the cray world that we actually live in at the moment, it was a really great excuse to reach out and say, hey, just hey. This had nothing to do with sales or selling or anything like that. It was really about touching base with someone who's in business and genuinely wanting to check on them. Many of them, I must be honest and admit, I wouldn't have touched base with if I hadn't come across our emails from previous conversations. They had simply just slipped that far down my inbox. And it felt really good to reach out and offer an unexpected hey. And I can tell you that I learned so much from their responses. I know some freaking awesome business owners who are taking this all in their stride and pulling on their big girls or their big boy undies and heading headfirst into this storm. And I was so proud of them. I also discovered that some business owners who I thought would be struggling, retailers, were going great guns. And I can tell you, hand on heart, that it reaffirmed for me that small business owners rock. They just freaking rock. You freaking rock if you're a small business owner. I know you rock. Okay. So another thing where you're cleaning out your inbox, take notes of the emails you actually send. Is there a particular email or particular emails that you send all the time and you could actually make a template out of them? I know Gmail has canned responses, but you could easily set up something like this even if you don't have Gmail. It just could be a really good time-saving tactic for you moving forward. But please don't go overboard, as H2H, human to human, is so important. But some responses are okay as canned responses. Okay, let's move on. My next tip, number 4, for doing a spring clean is getting your office in order, your physical office in order. Do a bin run. Go through all those scraps of paper with some amazing ideas, others with messages from phone calls from 12 months ago, and some, which is definitely me, with lists of to-do activities for that day or that week. Oh, and yes, I did actually read all the pieces of paper as they put them into the bin, because you just never know when I might have had a really good, bright idea that got buried in the to-do list. So just, if that makes you feel better to read the pieces of paper before you throw them out and make little notes, then just do it. But I can tell you a clean office equals a clean head, and uncluttered spaces equal uncluttered heads. If you're in the situation where you've never worked from home but you are now, then my tip for you is to, rather than clean your office, create an office space. Hop online, shopping local, of course, and create a space for your work. I worked at the kitchen table for about 18 months when I first started this business, and it was the most stupid decision looking back. Cleaning out one of the spare rooms in my house and making it into an office was one of the best decisions I made in a very long time. Yes, I live in a very big house, in a very big farmhouse, and Mr. Farmer, my husband, is actually one of 8 children. So there was once upon a time a lot of people who lived here. So I understand that not everyone would have the luxury of cleaning out a spare bedroom, but I'm sure you can find a space to work in that's just for your work. And just the pro tip of all pro tips, do not make it your bedroom. It's never a good idea, ever. You need to keep sleeping and working very, very separate. Some other things that might help you whilst you're in an organizing mode is number 5, create a folder system in Google Drive. If you have everything on your hard drive and you would like to put things in a cloud, then Google Drive could be just the little tool that you need. Maybe you need to archive and back up your hard drive on your computer, of course, in a separate hard drive that's not on your computer, of course. Or maybe you should consider upgrading some of your equipment in your office, like your monitor or your printer or your chair, or even buy yourself a good filing cabinet and all the bits and bobs that go into a filing cabinet to make your life a little bit simpler. Of course, you can go online and purchase these, and I highly would love and recommend that you do it with local businesses wherever possible. My last tip is to update your bookwork. Yuck. Sorry, Jen Watterson, if you're listening. Jen was on the podcast a few weeks ago talking finance. So if you haven't listened to that episode, check it out, episode 65. But I have literally spent hours and hours and hours getting my bookwork up to date. It's definitely a place where I fall down in my business. Look, I love figures. I could look at analytics all day and plan content in relation to those analytics at 12 days a week, but bookwork, no, just not for me. So maybe now is the prime opportunity for you to get your bookwork up to date, so when 30th of June rolls around, I was trying to think when the end of the financial year was. I had 30th of January wouldn't go away. So when 30th of June rolls around, you'll be super organized and your accountant will love you just a little bit more. So don't be like me, or do be like me and get it done, because no one else is actually going to do it for you. After I've done all this in the last week, I'm really feeling like I could tackle my 2020 goals list, because they're not the same. But that is definitely for another episode. The goals list for 2020 that I did back in December and then tweaked in January is simply not going to happen in its current form. I need to take time to reassess and perhaps pivot just a wee bit in my own business. What does that look like in your business now that you've got everything cleaned out and you've got this fresh start and a clean slate? What could you start looking at that maybe now you have the headspace and the office space to start looking into? Well, my dear friend, that is all for episode 67. I hope I have inspired you to take some time out in the very near future and just spend some time getting things organized, both inside and outside of your head. I will, of course, be back next Thursday with another great episode to help you simplify your business in 2020. If you're enjoying the podcast, and I'm thinking you might have if you've listened to it this far, Please don't forget to subscribe and share the episode with another superstar business owner who's doing the daily grind and would really appreciate someone making their business life simpler and get a few little spring cleaning tips. And of course, you could always leave a rating and review to show me how much you are loving my weekly free content straight into your earbuds. Massive love coming your way if you take time to do that. Of course, like I said, that is all for episode 67. I will see you next week for episode 68. In the meantime, let's get social on social. Like-minded business owners is my group on Facebook, or send me a DM and hang out with me on Instagram or my favorite, LinkedIn. But whatever you do, remember, my small business peeps, as my opening song says, there is no point in dreaming small.
Say it proud, be true, and let us see you for the star that you are.